January Blues.
Hello and welcome to episode 97 of Chet and John's Reassuring You Finite Gaming Playlist. My name is Chet Rivers. With me as usual is John Denton.
Hello.
Two top 10 lists, the 10 games we've been playing over the past 7 days. Number 10s are the games we've been playing the least. Number 1s are the games we've been playing the most. That's it, John, to do this.
Number 10, Avatar Trials Ninja Uprising. Have you spoken about this game before?
I know it's on my Xbox. I can't remember if I played it or not. So it's an XSplit game, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I just needed something to round out the list of this stupid task that we set ourselves every week. It's not a good game. It's not a good game at all. You obviously play as yourself, and you have to... The idea is that you run into the screen and complete platforming challenges. They pitch it as like parkour, and I thought, because it was called Ninja Uprising, it was going to be... Have you ever seen that TV show Ninja Warrior?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be something like that. It's not. It's just crap floating platforms, and they're almost impossible to control, almost very, very difficult to gauge the distance of the platforms, and it keeps like stuttering as you move. It stuttered so much it made me kind of want to vomit. And after about 5 minutes of playing it, I couldn't get past the first set of platforms because it was impossible to gauge distance. And I thought, what the hell am I doing? I could be doing anything else. So I just stopped immediately. But yeah, it was a horror show.
I think those Avatar games, or a sizable number of them, are made by a guy who is the most successful XSplit developer and is a millionaire off the back of those games.
Really?
He did like Avatar Warfare 1 and 2, Avatar Pinball, is that right? That doesn't even sound right. But I don't know if that's one of them. So
There is a sequel.
So you don't know.
So
I mean, a lot of people are
it
drawn
must
to
have
those
done
Avatar
well,
games. Weird. Okay, maybe I'll play it. I mean, the thing is, you don't know in the grand
The
scheme
idea
of
is
XSplit.
absolutely fine, even the shitty like graphics and the floating platforms, but it's stuttery as a motherfucker, and you can't gauge the distance, and it's it's wank.
All right, okay. But in the grand scheme, it might be great because, there are some very, very bad games on XSplit, needless to say.
Yeah, it's probably better than some of them.
Okay, my number 10 is Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 on the Xbox 360. I came home hammered after being out on the town at the weekend, and I was editing a video for YouTube at the same time as wanting to keep my Xbox on, and it shuts off after an hour, so I kept flicking the stick to keep it awake while I was working.
Right.
And I must have done this more than once because I accidentally launched Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, which is a game I think I must have 5 years ago, 6 years ago maybe. I haven't played it since it came out, and it's old. And I just, whenever I boot up one of those games, I always have to see if I can find a game on matchmaking, just to see if anyone else in the world's playing it. I mean, I've spent a lot of time doing that. So I just stuck it on matchmaking and then left it there, and I went back to doing what I was doing, and then I noticed there was someone in there, and I was like, wow, okay, fuck. Started playing. I expected them to be maybe in America, and it was a sensible time over there. But I have a feeling that he or she was as hammered as I was because it was the worst game of Mortal Kombat ever. I mean, it was just button mashing and failing to do any special moves. Just a mess. The most undignified game I've ever seen. So I suspect that, like I said, another person who just stuck it on because they were hammered, and that was that. It was about 3 a.m.
Two pissheads accidentally playing Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm sure something along those lines. So yeah, keep it rocking, Mailman 5v9. You're the man. I can't remember who won.
Who did he play as?
Who did he?
Yeah.
I can't remember, and I can't remember who I was either, and I can't remember who won. So what a fucking tale.
Shame it wasn't on Xbox One. You could have recorded it.
That's very true.
Oh well. My number 9 is Ridiculous Fishing on the Android, on my phone. I forgot it was on there, and my little fella has decided he wants to start playing games on my phone, so we started playing that one, and it actually works quite well as a game to play with a little kid. I did the bits where you tilt the phone to guide your fishing line down and then line back up, and then it's probably terrible parenting considering he's 2 years old, but he does the bits where you blow the fish to death into a bloody mess by tapping the screen, but all he has to do is just hit the screen. So it works well. It's a really good game. It really is a good game, and I knew that anyway, but I hadn't played it for ages. Vlambeer make good games. They have a great sense of how to make simple systems feel really good. I like the art style of all their stuff, and I think this is done pretty well for them by all accounts, and rightly so. It's a very good game.
I got it on one of those Starbucks free app of the day things, like about a month or two ago, and then it turned up on a couple of people's Game of the Year list. So I will play it in the next few days, maybe.
It's good.
Okay. No, I've heard nothing but good things about it. My number 9 is Assassin's Creed Liberation HD on the Xbox 360. I spoke about it briefly last week. I've only played it for a few minutes. My girlfriend liked the look of it, so she started it, and thankfully got bored quite quickly because of all the games to go through twice. This was not at the top of my list, to say the least. But I'll be very, very quick. But I didn't really explain some of the systems in this. There's 3 outfits. You have to constantly keep going to dressing chambers and change into either a lady outfit, a slave outfit, or a combat outfit. And the only way you can do that is it basically before a mission it will say go there and choose that outfit. You can't experiment with them, needless to say, so it's kind of pointless. And there's a very amusing charm system, which when you're in the lady outfit, you walk up to a guard and you sort of wave a handkerchief like cooey, and then he gets a big heart symbol up over the top of his head, and then he just follows you around. Just walks around after you as if he's waiting for an invitation to take you into an alley and have sex with him. But the heart meter genuinely goes down, and then they get bored and walk off. In a series that's had more than its fair share of dumb gameplay systems in it, that's probably at the absolute bottom or the top or whatever, because that's just fucking dumb. There's also a trading system where you buy and sell goods and ship them across the ocean, and when the cargo arrives you're paid. Also you travel in canoes a little bit, so basically it has a very, very slight whiff of Assassin's Creed 4 about it, but only a whiff. And I didn't realise it at the time. If you're an achievement hunter, and I assume this goes for trophies also, Sequence 3, I've got an achievement for 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, so 3 didn't work, if anyone cares. And the lead protagonist, I said last week, she looked like Rihanna, and I forgot to say that the bad guy is the Poundstretcher version of Javier Bardem. That's it. I never want to talk about this game ever again. It's rubbish. Well, it's not rubbish, it's fine. I just don't want to talk about it anymore. I've played it more than any human being should.
Yeah, sounds like it. Number 8 for me is The Wonderful 101 on Wii U. Put it on because, again, my little boy, he likes Power Rangers, and it's kind of like Power Rangers, so I thought that would keep him amused for a minute. And it did. He managed to sit there getting beaten up and then pressing yes when it asked him to continue, and that kept him amused for about 12 minutes, so I was quite impressed by that. And then I tried to play it myself, and it's a fucking hard game to come back to when you haven't played it for months. It's such a confusing game at the best of times. I couldn't really remember, and not only couldn't I remember the controls very well, but I couldn't really remember how to play it. I know you had to draw rings around things, and then you have to split your team into different parts, and parts of the team are automated, and they turn into... I just couldn't quite remember it. And I stuck with it for a while, but it's difficult because I like it, but I don't love it straight away anyway. And to then relearn the systems, and I'm still determined to get further in the game because you hear good things, and obviously platinum, and I feel like I bought this console, the Wii U, and I know I haven't got Mario yet, but that's just a matter of time. I do want to at least play one of the... That was probably the game that I was most excited about coming to the fucking machine when they were announcing and talking about it. So I do want to give it a bit more time than I have given it. But we've got to find time to play 10 games every week, and struggling to remember exactly how to play this game while you're getting your ass kicked over and over and over again. Bad. Not that the game's bad, that whole just situation was bad.
Do you have a physical copy of it, or is it just a download?
No, it's just it's download. I managed to get it quite cheap through... I don't know.
You had Pikmin already or something, wasn't it?
Something like that. I already had Pikmin, and then I already had money on there. I don't know why. Nobody cares about that, but yeah, it's digital.
Okay, I was going to try and steal it off you, but no, that's working my way up the list of games that I need to play. I have to play that.
Did it was available for super cheap by accident the other day?
Was it?
Yeah, they fucked up, and Pikmin were both like £9 for a matter of 20 minutes, and then they realised that they made the mistake, and I think they still honoured the ones that they sold at that price. Damn. But everyone was like, Nintendo finally gets it, and then oh no, it's just fucked up.
Damn, that's when things like that happen. That's the only time I miss being on Twitter frequently. Because it would have been good to take advantage of that, obviously. But anyway, my number 8 is FIFA 14 on the Xbox One. I've been playing a lot of co-op seasons with our friend Jay, and it's been pretty good. We've given up on experimenting with different teams and mixing up because I don't know when it happened, but when I first started playing football games, Pro Evo 3, I think on the PlayStation 2, I always picked Brazil because they were the best game, the best team, and everyone used to go, "You only fucking won that game because you're Brazil." And I'm like, yeah, when I'm 1-on-1 with a keeper, I want the best chance of scoring statistically. Why wouldn't everyone pick the best team? And that's why for a while I didn't really understand. And to be honest, I still don't, but I like mixing it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And we just kept outclassing players using Real Madrid. I mean, just doing some really cool stuff where we should have spanked them like 5-0 or something, and we just get beaten. And it's seeing the same thing over and over again. They intercept the ball at the halfway line, hoof, long lob through ball. Our defence just fucking spaz out and don't know what to do. Someone receives it and they have a pop on goal. The games that we have won have only been won because they've somehow missed 20 shots on target. So we were just like, what's the point in, we were that German yellow team, what are they called, Dortmund,
yeah.
Man City, Man United. We were experimenting with different teams, and it just became very, very boring playing against Real Madrid. It's going to be even more boring being Real Madrid versus Real Madrid, but we're just fed up of getting beaten in exactly the same way time after time. So yeah, if you can't beat them,
that's the sad state of affairs. I haven't played FIFA for a little while. I'm a bit depressed about football at the moment. So. Because I like Manchester United, don't I? And
I don't know what that
I suppose you really don't follow football. It's just a fucking disaster. It's an absolute disaster at the moment, as most people will know. And it's all just a bit upsetting.
All right.
But then I probably had it coming.
Okay.
That's how little. I mean, I might as well have just been speaking Swahili then with clicks.
Exactly. Yeah, true that.
You'll understand this. I had a hankering for a bit of Hagar, so I played a bit of Final Fight Double Impact and ended up, like last time we played this years ago, just ended up sitting there playing it for ages. I mean, it's ostensibly a crap game, but it's still oddly Moorish. You just sit there and pick people up, jump in the air, kick people into other people. There's like 3 moves. I don't know. Where did they ever come up with the idea of Mike Hagar and his braces? I know he's like the classic character to talk about because he's so odd, but even now, just walking with his hands to the side, I just don't understand how they ever came up with him.
What version of the game?
The one on the Xbox 360, the one we played years ago and finished, and said
me.
You and I, we vowed never to do it again.
Did that happen?
Yep.
Where were we when it happened?
They were at my house.
Oh god, I got Final Fight. I feel like I haven't played Final Fight since the arcade. I mean, or the SNES at least. Are you sure it's not someone else?
No, it definitely wasn't.
Okay, I don't remember that, but that's probably a testament to how shit it is. Why do you just put it on for the fuck of it?
I was just going through the list. I needed games to fill out the list, and I came across that, and I was like, I just fancy a bit of Hagar in my life, and I was right. It was nice to have him in my life for a brief, probably longer than it should have been, about 30 minutes, way longer than I should have been playing it for.
Okay, that was your 7 then, was it?
Yeah, I'm rattling through them, but it is January.
True. Okay. All right. My number 7 is Need for Speed Rivals on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. My girlfriend has always been mildly obsessed with those Criterion Need for Speed games,
right.
And is supernaturally good at them. She was playing it while I was working, and all I heard was that trophy noise pinging. I was just like, Jesus Christ! Like, she played it for half the amount of time I played it, and she unlocked gold, silvers, trophies left and right. So it's, but she had the exact same reaction to me. She kept saying, "Oh, it's." She thought it was the World from Most Wanted. I was like, no, it's not. And then she spotted exactly the same locations as I had. So it's pretty clear to me that they have assembled this world from from Burnout, the world of Burnout Paradise. I always forget, they always sound the same. It's like something county, or they never have particularly memorable names. But it's a meshing of all their previous, and I think that's fine. I actually quite like seeing those landmarks again, but it seems a bit curious that they've kind of pretended that that's not what they've done. So yeah, we played that a little bit, but then I got hold of the Xbox One version because all my friends have it, so we're going to play it on co-op. And I don't want to speak too soon because this was earlier today. I turned it on and I was like, oh, it doesn't look anywhere near as good.
Oh, doesn't it?
The frame rate doesn't look quite as good. It looks a little bit washed out. I just remember thinking, shit. This is a knee-jerk instant reaction to putting on earlier today for about an hour.
Right.
The Kinect implementation is great, as it was in Most Wanted, so you can manoeuvre that top left menu with ease and while you're driving, and it's really, really great. And And I started it from the beginning again. I continue to marvel at how terrible the cutscenes are. With the first one you see is that racer, and he says, "You're asleep, we're awake. We drive around in cars we didn't pay for. Some people call us thugs, but deep down you know you need us." Fuck off. Fuck off. What is this crap? Even the fucking police are wankers as well. It's so idiotic, but it can't dull my enthusiasm for the game because I'll play multiplayer extensively over the next few weeks, I should imagine. But my first reaction to the Xbox One version was, oh shit, it looks markedly worse than the PS4. I should really try and look at them side by side. It might have just been, as I said... I don't know, because you always kind of... I was anticipating it being worse as well, just because that's, having some Battlefield on both formats, the PS4 is definitely superior. But I don't know. I'll speak about it again next week.
Having been off Twitter, have you seen the thing with Tomb Raider today?
No. Oh, wait a minute. 30 frames per second?
Yeah, I mean, I don't care. But it's quite funny that they're still calling it the definitive edition, and then Square came out and said it's the same outstanding experience on both consoles. Just like, well, I didn't care until you said that. Don't say that. You can't say that. I hate all that. Just what happened to the world where people who work for companies speak like these weird plastic robots? And maybe they always have, but it's just more prevalent now because of social media. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with being human.
True that.
Talking of being human, what a segue. Dark Souls is my number 6. People that I know have been playing this game this week because it was at 374 on Xbox Live.
Still is now, I just checked.
Okay. So I had this ages ago when it came out and played what I thought was a ton of, and it still probably was, but according to people in the know, I've got nowhere, but it took me a fucking long time to get to that nowhere. But I've also had it on PC and started again from the beginning, but it was doing my head in. So it was nice to pick up back from where I was on the 360 again. Unfortunately, where I was is on a ledge in front of 2 rats. Started, immediately got killed by these rats, got pushed off the ledge over and over. It was just, couldn't have been a more appropriate place to restart a game that enjoys kicking your ass like no other. I just want to like Dark Souls. I admire Dark Souls. I totally understand. I listen to people talk about Dark Souls and I kind of get wrapped up in what this game has achieved, even though I don't have the hands-on experience of feeling that. But even in the 10 or so hours I have played it, I did start to get an understanding of how it works and stuff. And it's a fascinating game, and I've read and listened to many people say very interesting things about it. I just know, I mean, fundamentally, I don't have time in my life to dedicate to Dark Souls, and I don't know if necessarily I would want to anyway. As much as I admire it, I don't. A game where you have to be that pragmatic, I don't know if that's really something that I enjoy. I always find it's annoying to say stuff like this, but if you're going to spend, for me, I should say if I am going to spend that much time dedicating myself to something, to learn it and understand it and be at a point where you can beat it on its own terms, which in certain parts of Dark Souls involve standing certain parts of the geometry and things like that. And from what I understand, I would rather spend that time doing something that's not a video game, and that's probably a sad state of affairs for someone speaking on a video game podcast. I don't want anyone to think that means I don't love video games, because of course I do, but to dedicate to one, that's just not the way my brain works. I'm always looking for the next exciting thing. So respect it, admire it. If I'm going to dedicate myself to something, it's something outside of video games, something of a more physical pursuit, I'd say, probably. But that's just me. In fact, it's probably a compliment to the game that I would compare it to something like that for other people.
Yeah, I've constantly been thinking about returning, but I'm kind of the same as you in that I'm inclined to say that I don't see the appeal in jumping that. But then again, I play an enormous amount of Battlefield, and I play Street Fighter, and I tend to obsess over games like this. If I've had an accident, and hopefully I don't, but if I had an accident that involved me being bedridden for like a week or two, that's exactly the time. I might pick it up it was £4 on Xbox. Did you say you bought it, or you went back to the PC one?
No, I bought the 360 one. I still have it on my PC, but I couldn't be asked to start again from the beginning on PC, so it was nice to just go back to my old save.
It's a funny game. That it's all encompassing, and that's quite intimidating.
Yeah. And people who the thread you always hear from people who've played a fuckload of it is it isn't that hard. But I just think, isn't that just because you've played a lot of it? Because you know what, I don't find basically, I don't know any example. I don't find kicking a football from the edge of the area into the goal very hard, but I couldn't do that when I first tried to do it when I was a little kid. But I've done it many times, and now it's not hard at all. I think that's just, Dark Souls is fucking hard, but you just got really good at it.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like not having played it quite enough is a hindrance, just because it's something that needs to be understood. But who knows? I might have to pick it up if it's £4. If anyone's listening to this on the Friday, this is Thursday, and it's still there. So hopefully it'll be there for. It might even be. It was in their January sale thing on the front of the 360, so it might be there for the duration of the month, or the best part of it, anyway. But yeah, anyway, my number 6 is a game called Cat Basket on iOS.
Oh, I really thought that you were going to say Cat Bastard.
No, sadly not. Cat. It might as well be called Cat Bastard. It's on iOS. I played it on iPhone many times and on iPad many more times. It's from a Californian studio called Retro Dreamer, who made a game called Sneezies, which my girlfriend is an iOS gamer, like a bit of a nutter, and that was the first game she ever played on iOS, and she still plays it today. So in her words, they demand your effing respect. She demanded that I play this for a very long time, and I did. The game is ludicrously simple. Cats fall from the top of the screen, and you use the gyroscope to tilt. And there's a mad old lady holding a basket, and she catches them. If you tap the screen, the old lady flips the basket upside down, and there's all spikes on it. And you do that when you see dogs dropping instead of cats, so you kill the dogs.
I'm with you.
You can lose as many cats as an infinite amount of cats can pass by you, and you can not catch them. It just is a detriment to your score. But only 3 or so dogs can pass by you, because they hit the face of the giant cat that the old lady is standing on as she ascends up between these 2 buildings. It's a little bit of a mad game. Very, very simple. I mean, just describing, I'm sure some people might think, oh, I've played a game exactly like that. I know I haven't, but it's so straightforward that I'm sure there are games very much like this one. God damn, it's addictive. I mean, it doesn't help that I'm in a 2-way score battle now that just is never ending. But it's really, really addictive. And there's something really... something endlessly amusing to me about how awful this old lady looks, because the game it's a kids game in like all capitals. It's bright, the pinks, yellows, rainbow stars. It's a kids game through and through. But the old lady, I mean, she's quite amiable in the game, but she's got missing teeth, and the ones that are there are wonky, and one eye is bigger than the other. And I just thought, if you took her out of that game and put her on a blank piece of paper, it'd be like, ooh, that's really quite a creepy looking old woman. But it's free. I think there's a paid version that completely erases microtransactions. But having played it an incredible amount, I don't remember. There are a couple of ads have popped up in the free version, but I haven't seen any microtransactions. The full price version is called Kids version, and it says, parents, this will get rid of any microtransaction. You know, there's no way they can buy anything. But I guess that means no ads. I don't know. I'm not sure. But Cat Basket, it's terribly addictive. Very simple also.
That looks all right. I've just found it as you were talking. I just found it on that Android store on my phone next to the thing. Yeah, that does look fun. I might get that.
It's definitely worth downloading for a freebie.
Yeah. Yeah, that looks all right, actually. Cat Bastard.
Shame right. We won't be able to play it against each other.
Do the scores or whatever.
Yeah. Put it on your iPad instead.
I always forget I have that. What a fucking idiot. Well, what sort of scumbag says that? But it's the old one and doesn't work very well anymore.
Okay,
my number 5 is Battlefield 4, which I put on... someone was talking about it. I think maybe it was listening to the Midnight Resistance 7-hour podcast, which was, fucking long, but had a hell of a lot of games talked about on it. And they were just talking, I think, Andy Hamilton on there was talking excellently about the game. So it made me want to play it. That's right. He was talking about Parasol Storm, and I hadn't actually seen Parasol Storm on next gen on PS4 because you couldn't pick it because of the stupid server thing. Turned it on. I knew there'd been a patch, and you can on PS4 find I don't know what it's like on the other formats, but they have the numbers filled in on the servers now, so you can pick specific things. Thank fuck. So I picked Parasol Storm on what you call it, on Conquest, big old Conquest, then the whole thing worked, no crashes. I mean, the fact you have to say it like that's ridiculous anyway, but I had a cracking game on Battlefield. It was loads of fun as well. I didn't feel like I was getting killed instantly. Probably went like 10 kills, 10 deaths. That's fine for me, no problems there. And enjoyed the spectacle of that amazing map on PS4. And I had a really good time, actually. And it's almost enough to make me want to kind of get back into Battlefield 4. I played a couple of other games as well, and they were fun, but that was definitely the highlight. Obviously, the people I normally play with you lot play on Xbox now, but I'm sure I can gather together a band of hearty men to shoot people up on PS4. Could be a good time for that. Now it works. So yeah, I'm kind of back in. I don't have anything to add to it from a gameplay point of view. We've spoken about it to death too many times.
We have. I will briefly touch upon it in a bit, but our friend Fraser now has a PS4 and he's just bought Battlefield, so he'll probably hassle you for a couple of games at some point soon.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So yeah, enjoy that. It is sort of resembling something that works on Xbox One as well, but I'll talk about that in a minute.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, just sort of. My number 5 is Surgeon Simulator 2013, which was part of the Humble Indie Bundle. Is that what it's called?
You need to make an apology about that, don't you, beforehand?
I do, yeah. Matt Murray got in touch and said, because there was 2 games of the initial 5 that you got that I was led to believe don't work on Mac, but they do. They're just not on Steam, so you have to download them from the Humble Bundle download page, not from Steam, because they're not on there. Reyes and Papa EO. So yeah, they are on Mac. They're just they're not on Steam. So there's that. But yeah, another one of these games was Surgeon Simulator 2013, and it's I played it for about 30 minutes, which was pretty amazing because it didn't work. There's no right click. One of the most, right click on the PC rotates your hand.
Right, yeah.
And I Googled and I searched, and all I found was messages on the Steam community forums where someone said, I'm on Mac, the right click doesn't work. And every single time, someone from Bossa Studios, who made the game, I think it was them anyway, sorry, because it had their logo and they were called Bossa Studios, so you'd assume. But every time they said the same thing, they just kept saying, hey, submit this as a bug report and we'll look into it. But I saw that said at the early part of last year and late last. I mean, basically, that's what they keep saying to people, and they haven't fixed it yet. So it didn't work. Being able to rotate your hand is quite important, and so yeah, I played it without that ability, and I still kind of enjoy. Well, I mean, I did enjoy it. I mean, it's very, very amusing.
Yeah.
If you haven't played it, each finger is mapped to a different key on the keyboard. Then you move around with the mouse, and if you press the left or the only mouse click on a Mac, you'll move down your hand nearer to whatever it is. The first mission is you have to give someone a heart transplant. And immediately, it's just hilarious. I mean, the first thing that happens is I lost my watch inside the guy's rib cage, and then I picked up his new heart from the icebox and accidentally flung it in the air, and it landed under the bed. And then I slapped a hypodermic needle and started hallucinating because I drugged myself. I mean, it's legitimately funny. And the only way I think it could be improved if there were third-person replays, just watching you with maybe a commentary or something. I think that would be really, really funny because you are moving around like somebody who's done a load of drugs. I mean, I like the grimy electronic music and the fact that there's this sort of Easter egg on the front main screen where you put that VHS tape in and it's Team Fortress 2 and you're operating on one of the medics. But I couldn't play it. I mean, how much did it cost when it was new? Was it like 30 quid, 40 quid?
No, it's like 6-7 quid.
Oh, fair play. Oh, and that because I was going to say I don't know how happy I'd be shelling out for just a load of jokes, but then again I shouldn't say that because I don't know how good it works as a game.
It's basically what you've just described.
But it is possible to actually perform those operations, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, you're still going to drill through their head and smash open all their ribs, but you end up getting the heart in and you're like, I've done it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is possible, but you can't do it clean.
Well, it is. I mean, I was laughing quite a lot, and I wanted to get to. And the only problem is that the first operation's locked, so you can't get to anything else until you've done the first one, which was a bit of a shame. But yeah, I mean, it was essentially free or a quid for me, so I can't go back to it because it doesn't work. So shame.
That is a shame. It is a shame. You need to get a PC for that game.
Yeah.
My number 4 is a game you talked about before. It's Quiz Up on the iPhone, on my wife's iPhone, in fact. I could have probably talked about this every week since Christmas, but this seemed to be the best week to do it. A lot of fun. But as you said, I mean, it's pretty much the perfect quiz game, playing online, 10 questions on seemingly any subject we could think of that was on there. Doing Friends, doing capital cities, doing, I don't know, some fucking heavy metal, all sorts of shit. And there's barely saw a repeated question. And you do get quite competitive with the person on the other end. I think it gives you too long, because obviously when the question comes up, you know this, the quicker that you do the answer, the more points you get. But I think it gives you too long to get the maximum amount of points. So you could yeah. But I mean, just fucking nitpicking. The thing was free. Other nitpick, did MMA. All the questions about 1994, 1995 UFC. Nobody cares. Give me some proper questions. But I suppose I could submit my own, but I'm not going to do that. But for a free game, we played it for hours, so it's good.
Why wouldn't you submit your own questions?
Because I'm not going to do that.
It'll take you 2 minutes, and then you'll probably get loads of people saying, "Hey, your questions are the best."
Who's going to say that?
I don't know. I became briefly addicted to making quizzes on that Flickster Facebook app.
Yeah, I've never
like...
wanted to make a quiz.
Okay, I mean, the novelty wore off after about a day or two, but
the novelty wore off during the time it took you to say that sentence for me.
Okay, well, you haven't tried it, so don't write it off. That's what I say.
All right, that's fair. That is actually fair.
Okay, yeah, but Quiz Up is like it's so. I mean, it seems like they've covered every base almost. It's yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
it's a shame it's not on the Android because I'd play that all the time on my own phone as well. But yeah, it's good.
Indeed. Okay. All right. My number 4 is Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons on the Xbox 360. Which I picked up for £3-4 over Christmas, and apparently it was recently in a Steam sale as well. I won't talk very much about this because it's been spoken about a lot, especially because a lot of people spoke about it with their Game of the Year in those sort of discussions. But I really think it's quite terrific. I did it in one go today.
Oh, you did the whole thing?
Yeah, just did it in one sitting. Yeah. It was about 3.5 hours. Yeah. But I mean, if you aren't aware, I'll be very, very brief. It's the only dialogue in it is sort of Scandinavian inflected gibberish, and there are these two brothers that you control. One with the left thumbstick, one with the right thumbstick, and one each trigger button. They each have a trigger button, which is like a catch-all interact command, and that's it. The puzzles are very straightforward. I didn't get stuck at once, I don't think. I'm pretty sure I never got stuck. But they were rewarding to solve primarily because the game didn't stop moving forward. And in that respect, like a lot of other... It actually owes many other debts to it, but it reminded me of Journey, as I'm sure it has done many other people. It looks really, really terrific, and it's so much effort. It was clearly put into the draw distance to make sure it wasn't foggy or unclear, because you had such a clear sense of your environment. When you were really high up, if you looked down, you could always see exactly what was going on, which is not something you often saw in 360 games. So it was really, I thought it was actually quite stunning at points. If there was one fault I found with it, and it would only be one, it's that I thought it was a bit hard to stomach the really overblown music that seeps in towards the end. But that's the only complaint I could level of it. It was really just, it's stylish. The narrative is simple but completely bracing, and it's full of surprises. So, yeah, it's like Journey in that it's extremely easy to recommend to just about anyone. I think I'm so glad I played it.
Yeah, I've talked about it plenty, but I'm glad that you have finally played it, especially that you did the whole thing. I think there's probably a temptation for people to play about 30, 40 minutes of it and then not give up, but just think, I'll go back to that, and you never would, because it starts very gently, but quickly takes a turn for the dark, and then it becomes a lot more interesting, I think. And I do enjoy the way that the puzzles aren't necessarily taxing in a traditional sense, like you say, but they do ask you to do some strange things with your hands that you've never really done with a controller before, holding things and some sort of tested dexterity. But yeah, ultimately it's a game about the kind of narrative experience that you have and how that ties back into the actual systems and the controls themselves, which is pretty unique in that respect. And just one of those games, like exactly like you said, it's very easy to recommend to everybody, but hopefully everybody's played it by now.
Well, if you haven't, it's a shame it was those Xbox sales last for such a short period of time. But hopefully, yeah. I mean, if you're thinking about playing it, you definitely should. It's definitely worth it. I mean, like Journey, I think I died like once. It's just a game that's custom built for people to enjoy, rather the pain in the neck things like dying all the time or difficulty spikes. There was none of that stuff. It was very much like Journey. I mean, I know those two have been compared quite a lot, but really excellent, really good.
Absolutely. God, we're rattling through them today, but like I said, it is January. There's not a lot to talk about, really. My number 3 then is Dr. Luigi on the Wii U, which is the last of, as far as I'm aware, the last game of the year of Luigi. What a year it's been. And this is Dr. Mario, but with one new mechanic. On Wii U, and Dr. Mario has always been a fairly simple second to third tier block puzzling game where you match up the colours of different capsules and have to eliminate the bugs that are in the thing. I've always thought it was fine. It was certainly no Tetris. There's been a lot of games in that genre since Dr. Mario first came out that are a fuckload better. And all Dr. Luigi does to add to the formula is put L-shaped blocks come in. So they're two capsules stuck to each other in an L shape, and they'll break apart and fall down kind of Lumines style, but only the one capsule will break away from the other capsule, but you can't snap a capsule in half unless you eliminate half of it through the standard block elimination thing of matching up colours. Even talking about it that much is pretty much pointless. There is nothing else to say. There's multiplayer and things. It's fine. It's crap. It's fine. No, it's not crap, but it's just like it's fine. But the thing is, right? It costs £13.99.
Wow.
Which is absolutely unbelievable. This is a genre which is basically free now. You're playing games like this on your phone that, for the most part, are free. You know, whether it be Bejeweled or something more along the lines of Tetris, they're all games on the same thing. There's games like Drop 7, which pisses on this game from a great height. If it had come out, I think it should have actually been free. I think there should have been a way for Nintendo. Obviously, you need to make money on things that you make, but I think I don't like to talk about people's business plans too much because what the fuck do I know? But this is a game that can't have cost very much to make whatsoever. It's basically a reskin of an ancient game. It doesn't look nice. And just a nice little bonus to say cheers for fucking buying the Wii U. You and the other 3 people have this. But no, it's a premium downloadable game price for what is tat. It is tat. I mean, it's fine. I don't know. You don't want to slate it because there's nothing. It doesn't do anything wrong, and even if it come out at $1.99 or something, I'd have nothing bad to say about it really. But at $13.99, that just seems like a bit of an insult.
I'm just thinking of the other games that you can get for that price. I mean, Brothers being one when it was brand new.
Yeah, it was cheaper than that, but it was brand new. Yeah. Journey was cheaper than that when it was brand new.
Yes,
you can buy. I know it's the early access and all that bollocks, but DayZ, which is a vast game that seems to be changing people's lives. I know it's a bit fucked. That's £20, and Rust, the survival game, is a similarly themed game. That's $14.99 on Steam, also in early access. But vast games with huge layered systems, a different business model. I'm not trying to compare them directly, but that's £1 more than fucking Dr. Luigi.
Yeah, it's funny because Nintendo. A friend of mine pointed this out. I think I've mentioned it before, but their Nintendo games don't go down in value very quickly. You can still pay for a brand new copy of like one of the Galaxy games upwards of £20. Yeah. The recommended retail price. They don't. Maybe it's just that I don't know. That seems ludicrous. I mean, I remember overpaying for Dr. Mario when WiiWare first launched, and that was £6, I think, but. Yeah,
I couldn't believe it when it was that price.
Did you pay for it?
No. I wrote a review of it. It's actually on the GamesTM website now. But I was just you have to obviously write the price in on your review. So I just looked it up on the shop, and I was absolutely gobsmacked. Are you fucking serious? This is the same day as well that all the stuff came out of their financials and the massive the huge cuts in their forecasts and everything, and everybody's predicting doom and gloom. I don't know enough about that sort of stuff. I'm not going to predict anything, but all I do know, that doesn't sound good. And then you look at that and you're like, you just seem... Everyone wants you to succeed, but you're not doing yourself any favours. It's only a small thing, but it seems like almost a lot of their issues in microcosm here. It's clueless. This is a genre that's free on phones. You know, Candy Crush Saga is one of the biggest games in the world, and you can say what you're on about King and all the stuff that they've been doing this week. Yeah. Wow, they're some special. That's a special bunch indeed. But bottom line is, in-app purchases aside, their game is fucking free. This game is £14. That's it.
It is quite mental.
It is mental. A £5 at most. Even then.
I mean, I can't remember whether it was them who published it, but one of the first downloadable games I tried, I spoke about it many episodes ago. I can't even remember what it was called. It was the most forgettable, most poorly designed, rubbish load of shit. I'm pretty sure Nintendo published it, about a bird flying in a circle or something. What the hell was it? But again, it was a downloadable game. Is there a trial for this?
I don't think so. I'm not sure.
Well, there was a trial for that. You played the trial, realised it was terrible, and then the game was the best part of £20. I might be misremembering this. I'm sure. I'm not 100% sure Nintendo published it, but yeah, they need to get with the fucking times.
Really?
But, how they've dodged these bullets until now is amazing, because they are still, living in the fucking 80s. Okay, all right. Well, my number 3, I think it's probably much higher on your list, so we might have to wait. OlliOlli on the PlayStation Vita.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's number 1 for me.
Okay, all right. Well, then
should we wait till then? Okay.
Yeah.
Back to me then. It's Nidhogg for number 2. I talked about it last week. The old-fashioned graphics fencing game on PC. Just been playing a ton more. Been playing a ton of online. Did a bit of the single player, which is basically just a series of opponents, one after another. They're getting gradually harder across the different levels. It's actually fine because the game's so fun. There's nothing to it as a single player mode. It's even less involved than playing Street Fighter in single player. But but the game is a multiplayer classic, and I'm dying to play it offline with someone in the same room, or I think ideally with like 3 or 4 people. So there's an audience, because it will be a brilliant audience game. And just even playing online, I've had some absolute stormers online. Some absolute stormers. Some of the best multiplayer games I've ever had. Or I'm prone to hyperbole when I say stuff like that. So I'll say some of the best multiplayer games I've had on anything in a long time. I think that's fair to say. It's so much the type of multiplayer gaming that I love, which is why I love fighting games. It's that distilled. All the mind games, that's all the game is. You don't need to learn much. You can pick up all the systems within the game within 3 minutes and learn exactly how to play it. And then it's just how you start playing with those and experimenting and seeing how different things work together. For example, you can hold your sword at 3 different heights: up, middle, low. Simple. But the more you get to play it, the more you realise that depending on exactly how you time your lunge, which is you don't have to lunge to stab them. If they touch the end of your sword, they'll get stabbed, but you can lunge. And you'll work out at different times where low beats middle and where high beats middle. All that stuff's great. There's a roll where you can roll through them, you can sweep them, you can jump, dive kick them, and you can throw your sword. But you can kind of fake a lot of this stuff as well, but just using the controls because it's so responsive and so fast. And you get to the point where not only are you developing your own tactics, because the matches can be so epic, because you're going all the way to the left and then defending at the last screen and then going all the way back to the right and get stuck in between, and you can just have those moments where like it's been going on for 15 minutes and both of you just stand there and you can both raise your swords in the air. It's kind of like almost like a fist bump in an MMA fight, and then keep going. And you get into these fucking epics where you start to learn the tactics and the tells almost of the other player as the game's going on within the same game. It is it's been getting 9s all over the shop, and that's absolutely right. It's fucking storming, mate. It's a stormer. I can't wait to play against you. It's going to be cracking.
Have they? I take it. I mean, I know it's early doors still. Have they spoken any more about console in the future?
I've not I've not. I'm sure I heard that it was coming to PlayStation at one point, but I don't know if that was anything confirmed. I mean, I've not read anything confirmed, or if that was just hearsay. But I'm sure it's going to end up on consoles. But the beauty of it is, if you have wired controllers for your Xbox and a PC laptop, you can play it on that easily. Or if I'm there and you have that set up, then I can just get my Steam account. It's going to take 2 minutes to download, and then we're away. So yeah, it doesn't. It's just it's brilliant.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it very much. I assume it's still £10.
Yes, that is the thing. It's actually £12, which is the thing is it's worth £12 because it's fucking brilliant, but it's kind of a hard sell in many ways because obviously it doesn't look very good. Actually, I retract that statement. I think it looks great. I think it's really, really stylish. I love the animation. I love the especially like the grass level and the clouds level, which isn't actually that good to play on, but it looks nice, and it's very much like an artist's look to it, but it doesn't look like it's worth £12.
That's true.
So yeah, but I don't know. I'll be playing this. I'll be playing this for hours and hours and hours, even just playing online, which is kind of fucked anyway because sometimes it crashes you out Battlefield style. But I don't know. It's one of those games. I think sometimes the best fighting game is winning's amazing, but when you don't mind when you lose because it was just a pleasure to be a part of like this kind of visual poetry almost. That's when EA MMA had that. Street Fighter has that with me to an extent, but probably not when I'm playing online. I end up getting wound up. But yeah, Nidhogg has that. Has little problems, because you can also jump past the player and kind of run past them. You can get players who get very good at doing that, and they kind of just run through the level, and you just think, we should just fucking stay there and fight. You can learn to counter that, but I think perhaps in a patch they might tone down that ever so slightly. But it's a stormer. It's an absolute stormer.
How do you know how well it's sold at that price?
No idea, to be honest. Apparently, it's quite high up on the Steam charts. I don't know. I hope it's done well for them. I know it's taken them a long time to make it.
Yeah, I mean, it does look superb. I'm just waiting. I'm going to sort of forget that it exists, and then hopefully when it appears on something I have, then I can jump in that way.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, I'm going to be very brief about this. Battlefield 4 is my number 2. It's probably my number 1, but hey ho, I don't want to talk about it. It's better on Xbox One, but it is still fucked. One thing I've noticed is that because we've been playing so much team deathmatch over the last few weeks, because it's one of the only things that's worked. I have only recently started to understand what field upgrades are. The field upgrade score. Do you understand it?
No.
Yeah. See, I mean, the problem is that it builds over games. So when it keeps crashing, when you go back in, the field upgrade score is set to 0.
Right.
It's just what you'd expect, doing stuff. It's not for your team though; it's for your squad. So if you have to play in your squad, the head of the squad will select a location. You all go there. You all drop ammo for each other, health, and all that stuff. But they do unbalance the game. For example, after about half an hour, if I'm playing with friends, I've got a support perk loadout where I have 3 claymores. Right. 3 claymores. It's just too many. I'm inclined to say the system should be optional because, but then again, as I've said before, with action games, you've split your audience so many times, different game types, different formats, all that stuff. So eventually, there's only so many times you can, and there's hardcore mode as well, which certain people only play. So already, it's your base is diminished, but you're already at a disadvantage if you play Battlefield alone because it's very much a team game. But now you're really at a disadvantage because you're not playing with a squad and doing all that stuff. And in addition to that, if you only play Battlefield, this is like with any game, if you only play Battlefield infrequently, you're at a disadvantage because there are a lot of people that play Battlefield a lot. But in addition to that, if you play against people who've been on all day, then you're at even more of a disadvantage because they've got their field upgrade scores up, and it's just like it's Battlefield was already very much a team game, and now it's a squad game, and I dread. I mean, I haven't played on my own without friends yet, and I don't know how awful it's going to be. But I wouldn't want to be at that much of a disadvantage when everyone's got all of those perks. And it's so. I mean, like I said, me who's played quite a bit of this. I've only just begun to understand how it works. So a newcomer, I don't envy them one bit. Yeah. I think. I mean, there's something we noticed, which again, it's like if I could summarise Battlefield 4 as an experience, it's a load of things that you say, "Oh, that's a great idea," until you suggest something that completely breaks it. And, oh yeah, we didn't think of that. There's a great system, or so we thought, whereby if you're in a game and you get kicked back to the dashboard on Xbox One, if you relaunch Battlefield, it won't even go to the main menu. It will throw you straight back into that game.
Right.
So that has been great because we've been having a great game and they'll get kicked. Oh, fuck, and you jump and it just pulls you back in without having to do anything. The other day, one of these dead servers that I've spoken about, that I'm sure DICE would not admit are there. They're an illusion. You jump into some of them and it puts you on a black screen with a little white ticker permanently sort of flashing at the top, and it never goes any further. A friend and I jumped into that trying to kickstart a specific match type we wanted to get going, and it just sits there on the black screen. So we had to crash, go back in, but then every time we jumped back into the game, it would pull us into that server again. Came back in, left, pulled us back into that server again. Well, I launched FIFA, launched Crackle, Killer Instinct, went back, pulled us into that server. There was no way to stop us getting pulled into a dead server where we didn't want to be until we actually had to turn. I had to reboot the Xbox.
It's fucking madness.
It is. It's like something they never envisaged, which is, I didn't. When it first happened and it pulled me back into a game I wanted to be in, I was like, what a great idea. No faffing around. I'm like, well done to them. And then you realise, well, they didn't think of this, did they? But that's the Battlefield 4 experience. That's it, summarised. Great idea until you realise that it's not such a great idea until they fix it. But yeah, Battlefield 4 is starting to work. So I'm as I understand the game a bit more, could be very good, maybe.
Yeah, it's just hard not to be so anguished by the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, we're all in it for the long haul. We all have premium, so I will be playing it again.
Yeah, of course.
Until Titanfall, anyway.
Yeah, Titanfall. That's not long now. Not long at all. Okay. Anyway, my number one is the aforementioned OlliOlli. Now this is a 2D combination of it's fundamentally a skateboarding game. Combination between that and kind of a runner, I guess. Exclusively for PlayStation Vita. This was actually a game that the story of how this game came about was this studio called Roll7 was making an iOS prototype for a skateboarding game. I think it was still with that name. And James Marsden from Future Lab, the guys who make Velocity, saw this at some sort of developers get together or something like that, and immediately contacted Shahid Kamal from Sony and put them in touch, and then it's turned into the game actually releasing on Vita as opposed to on tablets, which is it's a great story. And the game is a very, very, it's a fine game indeed. It is a very tricky, deliberately so, almost throwback game in many ways, where it's most certainly a platformer, but it has the skateboarding fundamentals. So right, let's take it back. You're a little guy, a skateboarding guy. You can do two things basically. You can press X to push, or you can use the left stick to ollie, and then use the left stick also for tricks. You grind by pushing down or different directions on the left stick, and then you can ping back off again by flicking the left stick. It's an unusual control system. It has similarities to how skate works, but it's all done on the left stick, and obviously you're only on a 2D plane. But the game is fundamentally all about timing. So you, at first, I mean, there are scores to rack up and all that sort of stuff, but first you're just trying to get to the end of the level, because if you bail, or stack or slam or whatever you call it in skateboarding, you're back to the beginning. It doesn't matter if you're all the way at the very, very last bit and you can see the people at the end of the level and they're cheering. If you stack it, all the way back. And I tell you what, when you get towards the end of the fucking game, even at the amateur skill level, that it turns into a fucking bitch at times. But when it works and when you get into the flow, because it's all timing based, because when you're hitting the grinds, if you can do it at the last moment, you'll get a perfect grind, and that will give you a speed boost. At first, you do that because you get more points and it feels good, but later on you need to do it. That's fundamentals of the game. If you don't do that, you're not going to make the next gap to the next thing, and you're going to crash. Doing that, and the fact you have to hit a button to land the trick, and there's a timing score on that as well. When you start hitting everything with perfect timing, and you're getting green flashes on your grinds, and you have to press X obviously to hit the ground at the end of a trick, and if you time that perfectly as well, you get a green flash around your skateboard. So it's very tricky, but it does get you into a really nice flow state where you start hitting everything and you intrinsically know the exact timing that you have to hit everything, and it gets you into a flow, and that is a nice feeling when games manage to do that. That's one of my favourite things about video games, when you get into that flow state, and OlliOlli is very good at it. And it is a really good game. It gets fucking hard towards the end of the career, no doubt, but I definitely did like it. Towards the end of the career, I'm not going to lie, did get to the point where I just wanted to fucking bite the Vita in half or drop a couple of bows on my screen, but I didn't. I held it together, got to the end of the amateur career, and now you start having to do specific challenges on every level. That unlocks the pro levels, a whole new set of levels, and then if you can get 5 stars on all of them, you unlock something called Rad Mode, which sounds so hellishly difficult I don't even want to attempt it. But another interesting thing about the game is, well, in fact, I'll say I do have a couple of problems with the game. First one being the really curious lack of leaderboards.
Yeah,
really weird. Like, it tracks your score, so it uploads it, and it tells you like who's number one in the world. And I think it actually tells you where on the leaderboard you are at times, but there is no leaderboard to look at. So I can't see where you are or what you. It's madness, basically. I'm sure that's going to come. I don't know why it's not in there. And that actually goes into this. They have this cool daily challenge mode called the Daily Grind. Great name, by the way, guys. And that is a one and done run on a level where you can practice it over and over again. But when you go to do it properly, you get one chance, and you want to set your score against the rest of the world. Great idea.
Don't you only get one practice run as well?
No, you can practice it as many times as you want, but when you decide to go for it for real, I think I've done it 5 or 6 times, and I think I've got 0-4 of those times just by completely bottling it. But then when there's no leaderboard, you're seeing who the top 5 guys in the world are, I think, but they're always the same names. I've always assumed that they work for the people that make the game, for Roll 7. But again, I almost feel daft for saying this because I'm sure that they're working on it, because it's so maddening that it's not there. It makes no sense. My second little issue with the game is you don't see the individual scores for the individual moves as you're doing them. You only get your total score when you land a combo. So I know you need to mix the scores up, but if you're playing Tony Hawk, for example, you can, even at high speed, start to see which moves are worth more than others. So you kind of want to bank on those. I'm not too sure why it doesn't do that in this, because I feel like my scores are kind of arbitrary. I'm doing 2 runs. As far as I'm concerned, I've hit the same amount of tricks. I've done the same amount of perfect grinds, and one score will be way higher than the other one, and I can't really work out why. It may come from me playing it more. I will start to work out why myself, but I think I would have liked to have seen the score for individual tricks as you go along. But I mean, both of those things aren't major issues. They're smaller issues, and they're issues that only arise from a game that you're enjoying. If it was a game I wasn't enjoying, I wouldn't care about any of those things. So yeah, it's recommended. I think it's only £5 something if you've got PS Plus right now. And yeah, I've been hearing good things about this game for a while. And it's a cool, stylish game, hard as nails, but worth the effort, in my opinion.
Yeah, I liked it very much. I'm towards the end of the. What's the first campaign? Amateur.
Yeah, it says amateur, but it's
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm really liking it. I like it a hell of a lot. I mean, it's fundamentally different because if you stop, you die. But this is basically a kind of rethink of the Tony Hawk games, because you're doing a lot of things. I mean, each level has a set of separate goals embedded in them, but you don't have to. Once you get to the end of a level, you've reached the end of the level and you can move on. You don't have to go. I mean, does that change further on?
No, to unlock the other levels, that's when you have to finish all the. Say, to unlock the pro of level 1-1. The pro version of it, which is a completely new level, you have to hit all 5 challenges in the amateur version of it, and then you unlock the pro version. But it's a completely new level with new challenges.
Sure, yeah, but I mean, they're very similar. Some of them are collectibles. Some of them you have to do a certain trick, make a certain score, do a grind for a certain score, etc. And the score structure is just so brutal, but I didn't mind that at all because I mean you can execute the most amazing combo that flings you through most of a level, and if you don't land it properly, which is just pressing a button like you said, you get almost nothing. I did it, I did almost the whole level. I was like, I score, and then I fucked up the landing and I got like 600 points.
It's harsh.
It really, it is unforgiving. I mean, I don't have a lot to add to what you said. It's a really enjoyable game. I mean, it's another great exclusive for the Vita, but I will say that, I'll always want to play a game like this on a console, but it's so immediate and bite-sized that it would work really well on iOS. There was once a time where I just thought, there is, recently sort of control. I don't know. My sense of control over some of the recent iOS games I've played has been pretty much second to none. So I mean, I know it's a great for the Vita to have another exclusive, but knowing how cavalier and unethical iOS developers are often allowed to be, it would be a shame if this got ripped off in a week and they made a load of money from it when. Because it is a very simple game. I mean, as brilliantly designed as it is very, very simple. So but if you have a Vita, £5, £6, was it £6?
Yeah, I think it's $6.99, but it's like $5 something on PS Plus.
Yeah, I mean, really worth it. I mean, I'm really
talking a price with Dr. Luigi. There you go.
Yeah, ridiculous. That is absurd. But yeah, I definitely recommend it. It's really, really good fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Although, be warned, you might do a me and kick a hole in the wall. Yeah, not that I kicked a hole in the wall with OlliOlli, but if you're a regular listener, there's a hole in my family house that was caused by my foot.
Indeed. I can't remember what game was it. Pro Evo?
No, it was Jet Set Radio Future.
Oh, that's
where
right.
I went to a new game instead of load game after a few hours of punishment. But it's covered by a Diogo Forlan poster now, so all is well.
Indeed. So it is.
What's your number one then?
Okay, my number one is Dead Rising 3, the Operation Broken Eagle DLC.
Okay.
It's the first piece of. There's going to be 4, I believe, pieces of DLC for Dead Rising 3, and they're all side stories. They're called the Untold Stories of Los Perditos. So you play as a different character each time, which I really like the idea of doing it that way. So all of the stories I think are going to happen concurrently with the main story, and you'll see how they affect what happened in the main game, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm sure it's going to be a really cool idea. I hope anyway. In this one, you're this Spec Ops commander called Adam Kane, and you have to basically go into Los Perditos and do a load of things and kidnap the president because she apparently has gone soft on how to tackle the infected. And it's a little bit darker. I mean, one of your duties involves gassing any illegals that are illegals are civilians who refuse to be vaccinated against the zombie outbreak. So it's quite dark. You have to find their safe houses and infect them, although that's a side mission, so you don't have to do it. There's no co-op, which is a real shame because I have played the main game on single player, but it's so superior on co-op. It's definitely a co-op game through and through. But you do get to keep everything. Your power weapons, vehicles, collectibles are all where they should be and stuff. So you can continue doing stuff if you want to build your rank up. It's all still the same. It's set entirely at night, so the game's not given the chance to look as good as it can because it looked best when you were it was the daytime and you could see a lot. And the main set piece, or the centerpiece, I should say, of the DLC is kind of rubbish because you have to transport this vehicle back to your squad, but they block even more roads off because it's complicated to get around because you use this motorway and you have to fight. It's made even more complicated, and although it's a military RV, apparently it's made of paper. So if you take a wrong turn and you get lost in the city, apparently you're done for because you die quite quickly. I just thought that was quite a lame for the big action scene of the DLC. I thought that was a little bit lame. It's about 2 hours long, 2.5 hours it took me, and that's fine. I did a few side bits. There are a lot of collectibles you can sort of... there are a lot of sort of side things to do. I did a fair few of them, but as always, it's so tempting to just find... if you drive past a load of zombies, jump out, stand on top of a car and just massacre a load of them. It's a little bit difficult to recommend as a standalone purchase because on its own I think it's about £8. Right. Obviously if you buy the season pass you'll save, but that involves banking on the subsequent episodes being better than this one. I enjoyed it. I genuinely enjoyed it because I was looking for an excuse to play some more of this, and this gave me a decent excuse. I mean, the duration is a little bit of a problem, but I haven't done all of it yet. I'm going to go back in and do some of the side things because the problem is, or not really the problem, but like Dead Island, which I kept confusing this with when I spoke about it before, the combat and the situations you get into are so enjoyable that the fact that you're only really doing fetch quest essentially doesn't make any difference because the funny stuff happens either way and it's still enjoyable despite the sort of straightforward nature of some of the side missions. But I did enjoy it. I sincerely hope though that it's onward and upward from here because I want this to be the least ambitious. But then again, and I've said this before also, the fact that it doesn't. There's no illusion of content. It's 2.5 hours long, bang, and it's out. It doesn't drive you around the houses, giving you the illusion of more game just by making things drawn out. It's just a bish bash done. 2.5 hours, like I said. So it's a difficult one. It's too short. It's a little bit pricey on its own, but I enjoyed it, and I just hope that the next few episodes are better than this one.
Yeah, sounds alright.
It's okay.
I can't. No matter. I just can't get sold on it. There's nothing about it inspires me or fires me up. It's even as much as good as you say it is.
I know you'd like it though. That's the thing. It's so vastly different from the previous two.
It's just something about it. I don't know.
Yeah, you haven't.
I'm not judging it. I mean, God knows we wouldn't do that. But I just can't get fired up about the idea of playing it. But then again, it involves a lot of money to play a game that I've not liked the previous two versions of. But I'm sure I'll play it one day. Anyway,
well, when you get your Xbox One, I'll chuck it your way.
All right, sweet. Chuck Green. That's what was I going to say? That's the end of the podcast. That's what I was going to say. Sorry, it's a short one. Okay, it's still longer than we ever said it was going to be in the first place. Is it not? Okay, it felt short still, but there's no games. There's no games in January apart from OlliOlli. You should play that. See you later.
Thanks for listening, OlliOlli, Pie on the Vita. We'll see you next week. Genuine chat.
At John Denton, at Chet Rivals,
at Chet and John. Something, you know what I mean? Genuine.
Yeah.
Mr. Hager, as our future mayor, what would you do about the trash issues of Metro City?